You have people in Congress that don't even know how to use a cell phone.
This topic is based off of this article by Matt Stoller. Congress gets ready to smash big tech monopolies. So I think we don't got nothing to say about this. I'm about to move on to the next one for real.
I mean, you tell me I read the whole thing from Matt, son?
Oh, right.
Yeah, the answer is no. We're going to see monopolies break up.
Well, the answer, then the obvious means that you didn't read the article then.
Yeah. Go ahead, Carlito.
Okay.
Go ahead, talk about it.
I understand he argues for the likelihood that these companies are going to get broken up by Congress, but come on, dude. Like, do we really believe this? Do we really believe him?
I really believe that it could happen because he said before, listen, he gave plenty of examples before, different commissions. They don't have the power to enact laws themselves, but those are the ones that they form public opinion. And over time, that's what made change happen. He gave a bunch of examples about it, and this could be just another one that's going to happen in the future. Who knows, man?
T-Mobile just merged with Sprint, and then right after that, TracFone was the number 4, and Verizon just bought them.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's happening. It's changing now. Now is when they're looking into it. Who would have thought they would even think about doing a study like this? He mentioned how in Australia they curbing Google and Facebook. And, it's happening across the world right now. You know how much Google is in Europe. You're Apple fanboy. You should know how even Apple is being dragged through the mud right now by this article. So, it could happen. It could happen. And let me tell you this. Every person is saying it can't happen. Think about all the other stuff that we always talk about in this channel about the future and progressiveness and trying to make things better.
Yeah. Carlito, I know we don't have Felipe on, but you are doing Felipe best impression.
Yeah. I am not counting on moderates to do anything about it. I'm not Felipe.
Summer child, you know nothing.
So this topic is based off of this article by Matt Stoller. Congress gets ready to smash big tech monopolies. And one thing that he said was this was the Republican report that he was initially reporting on that he was really impressed by. So if that's coming from the Republicans, wait until the Democrats and the progressives get a hold of it. And it'll be very interesting to see when we get those hearings. Now, I would love to hear what Joel has to say about that.
Yeah, we've been talking about monopoly since the 1930s, right? We're here in 2020, and we still have essentially oligopolies forming into monopolies, as we see with big tech companies. And until we remove money from politics, until corporations aren't allowed to form PAC and there isn't dark money fueling candidacies, we're not going to have any change. And that's just pure and simple fact.
Yeah.
Unless companies are allowed to, unless we as a country come together and end Citizens United and don't have any, corporate financing of public campaigns, we're not going to see any change. Well, I mean, we've been talking about monopolies since, like I said, the 1930s, and we saw the downfall that came from it. But we're seeing a different kind of monopolies. We're not seeing it in the same way that we saw it before. We're seeing it with covert operations of special interests fueling the pockets of Republicans and Democrats alike. To make sure that they don't say anything, they don't hold them accountable.
But we've seen. Hold on, real quick, Carlito. We've seen the breaking up of companies. You make it sound like it's never happened since the 30s or whatever number you said. Like, so in the Carter administration, we saw they broke up. I believe it was AT&T, and they broke it up into they call it the Bell Babies or whatever. And we talked about this in a previous Political Junkies. So it hasn't happened. The last time they did something big on monopoly was against Microsoft, I believe, years ago when they were doing a monopoly with their browser. But every so often you do hear a little thing. But I agree with you. Something this big, and the tech field is a kind of new. This internet, social media is a new area. So I agree with you. It's going to be tough.
So what I have to say is, you guys know me. I don't believe in it's the end of the world and just give up on whatever it is and that's it. So you need to do something about it. And what this report's saying is that there is momentum happening. Nobody would have thought of a report like this coming out before. I mean, so this tells you that there's a momentum shift happening. And that's what the article talks about. The way the country is thinking about about something like this is changing the way that the politicians are going to think about this. One example that they gave was how when Occupy Wall Street was going on, they were talking about how great Steve Jobs was. And now look how Apple is getting dragged right now.
Yeah.
So we're not seeing these great tech giants as, gods anymore. We're seeing them for what they are, and just capitalist hoarders of money. And the world is seeing it more and more now. More and more publications are writing about how this tech giants are swallowing the whole world right now. We have more regulation going on across the world. So it's little things like this that get the ball rolling to eventually having a breakup. I'm not saying it's going to happen right now. What I'm saying is it could happen, and the tides are shifting.
All right,
it could happen. Will it happen? Who the hell knows? I mean, I doubt it, but I mean, I appreciate you always being positive and always fighting for for this change. Me, I'm more of the approach where I'm just like, I don't think it's ever going to happen, but I'm going to fight like hell for it to happen anyway. So I back you on that. One thing I will say about your example case about Ma Bell, right? Like I heard about that story when I was like a young IT guy, first starting on my career, by someone who lived it in the 70s. And that's really like the last big, example that we truly have of an actual company being broken up. The Microsoft thing with the IE browser, I mean, come on. Okay, so they had to allow other browsers. They're still Microsoft. You know what I mean? Like that almost affected nothing. Yeah. So, I mean, we really don't have a lot of examples of companies being broken up like that. So,
I mean, actually, I'm going to challenge you on that, Izzy. I got to look it up and see if I can find the article. But there was an article that's talked about how the breaking up, it traced it straight back to that situation, helped Google form, actually. And I know Mozilla Firefox came out of that as well. But I have to find it, and I'll be glad to send that to you.
Of course. I mean, Google came through with Chrome, and I totally. But at the same time, Microsoft is still Microsoft. They're still a giant. They're still, I mean, they own the PC market.
Yeah, totally. I want to give a shout out real quick to Prith Vincible, who said this talk is fire. So much love right back to you. And also Michael said the telecommunication companies came roaring back with the 1996 Telecommunication Act. So he's absolutely right. When Carter, that area broke up, AT&T, to this point, they came right back together. They're pretty much back together at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, that doesn't mean we can't take them back down.
No,
we take
totally.
them back down, and I'll give you one example. I'll give you another example right now that I forgot about, that the article's about. Gay marriage. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? It just takes time, man. It just takes time.
Yeah, but
that's not that doesn't involve money.
That's a bad example. That's a bad example. That's a bad example because you don't have corporation like buying to talk about and don't allow gay marriage, right? You're talking about the people that are funneling the money going to say, "Oh, I'm going to give you all this money," and then you're going to like take my company from.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a little something else. A lot of other companies that are not these big companies want to take them down too. So that's what, if you want to talk about money, that's other money that's going to come in, because this article and this report has a lot of people that wanted to, they're afraid. They're afraid right now. So they're talking, not off the record, but they're anonymous. They don't want their names out there because they're afraid of people like Apple and Amazon. But there's a lot of companies out there that want to take them down. And those companies have money too. Not as much, but they could influence people, man.
But where are the billions and billions of dollars are coming for lobbying?
What about the $27 we gave to Bernie and to people like this, man? AOC, whatever. It doesn't always work, but it could work. We don't have the big money, but we have, focus money.
The only way I see it working, man, is if you take out you have people in Congress that don't even know how to use a cell phone. They're gonna be like, they don't know anything. So you gotta bring in more young people.
All right, there you go. So you're saying it can happen. All right.
What I'm saying is, it could happen.
All right, we gotta move on to the next topic.
Is that gonna happen?
Everyone, what do you think about monopolies? Are you on Carlito's side or are you on John's side? Is this going to happen anytime soon, or is it going to happen 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Let us know.
Or never, how some people say, negative never.
Well, your $27 you give to Bernie is going to help break up.
All right. Like and subscribe.